Lap 2 on this on the Weibo Grand Prix. Not going to have the Nico though. Is Strive. That's of course one of the picks which he's been doing very well at. Of course, many of our LPL mid laners have loved playing the mind games there. I think in the first game we also saw the Ari as the last ban. Same again, despite the mid lane change.
Yeah, taking away the Zeri as we mentioned, and this time around we're going to go. The Gnar is still left open available. Maybe RA is saying, look, it doesn't matter. Again, we're going to get the Andy here, but this time around, I will normally say it's like, look, the Andy didn't do a lot in the last game. It was literally a different person last game. It was not Strive in this team last time around, but now
wow,
Weibo,
you look so different. I'm a different person.
it literally changes. It's like when a movie franchise or a series changes actor midway. You're just kind of like, wait a minute. But now we're going to see Weibo kind of forcing the hand here of RA and saying, look, we're getting the Xayah, we got the Gragas. They're trying to hard force, I feel like, RA to either pick away the Rakan right now or to invest in something like a Lucian Nami this early on, and it means that the Gragas kind of goes a little bit uncontested for the moment. But no, they're going to say, look, we're going to take your Rakan, no problem. We'll bring in the Nautilus.
And well, not the big change from game 1. No Yuumi so far. Not picked, not banned, passed up as a first pick, and with the Xayah locked in very early, I think Rare Atom see the Xayah locked in and say, if they pick in Xayah Rakan, we are going to fall apart early. So they try and lock in that Nautilus, they do so. Feather, of course, replacing On as the youngest supporter in the LPL. On is now the second youngest supporter in the LPL. Feather picking up that mantle for himself, but it's going to be a much more early game centric bot lane from Rare Atom. I think that's very important. It'll hopefully allow Assume and Feather to take over a little bit more playmaking duty from the bot side of the map and stop Chris from having such an important performance as he did in game 1.
I think that's the big thing as well, is that, you want to try and limit Crisp. He was just given too much freedom. And that's the thing as well. I think that the way that pros and teams have been able to counteract the Yuumi is that, yes, you're super safe in that bot lane. That's awesome. Great for you. I'm just going to leave. I'm just going to go off and farm. Not only does that give my
people need me.
Yeah. But not only does that give you opportunities then around the map, but then it also gives you the opportunity to kind of go, well, my AD carry is not really under threat either because the Yuumi doesn't have a CC anymore. So little things like that you can kind of, see the meta kind of changing around how Yuumi is being pictured and stuff like that. And even in this game, not picked, not bans, left open here between both teams as they recognize, look, they just value things like the hard CC that little bit more.
I think particularly when you got snowballed on so heavily in the early game, you can't allow that to happen. However, with the Nautilus locked in and the point-and-click CC coming from the mid lane, Lien gets their Nidalee removed from them. Of course, a great player of that champion. Brought it out a little bit in spring. The champion is very hard to pull off at the pro level, though, at the current meta. You miss one spear, you die once in the early game. Things start to fall apart. Either way, we're paying some respect there. Maybe wondering now if they can go towards... I was wondering if the Wukong would make it through those bans. Not going to be the case. Could potentially go towards something like that Kha'Zix. But as it stands, it feels like they're hovering over a couple of champions which should not be going towards that jungle. Maybe leaving jungle to the last pick.
Quite possibly. We'll see the Wukong banned away there. So the Vi and the Wukong and the Nocturne taken off of the board for the moment. We're both thinking about going towards something. But yeah, I was going to say, there's no real reason to... not kind of blind, or no real reason to blind your top laner here, especially with the Shy, having much more preference to be able to kind of see what he's going into before he locks something in. So going with the Kha'Zix, who was banned last by RA in the previous game. They had to leave it open this time around as they did not want the Nocturne to get out of the ban phase. And Kha'Zix can do a hell of a lot of work. And again, against things like the Jinx, where if you're able to jump on top of her without kind of, the Nautilus there right beside her to peel off for her, it can be incredibly difficult for the side of RA to deal with.
And the secondary play pattern is you just build Umbral Glaive and you still do loads of damage, but also you become very, very good at enabling your engaged champions like the Gragas and the Rakan in this game to come out of Fog of War because there are just less wards on the map. So the ward control from Weibo was incredibly good in game 1. They have a little bit of extra help from that in game 2 from their jungler's itemization. They're locking in tank for that top lane. Malphite locked into that Cassante. So Xiaoshu, despite getting this late lock into the Cassante, once again, it's not first picked, it's not early picked. It's going to be another fairly neutralizing matchup for him in this game.
And honestly, I like this from the Shy as well, just getting himself a champion that can just soak up the damage or the pressure from the Cassante. Never really in danger. I think that's the way we're kind of seeing people kind of deal with the Cassante. It's probably why we haven't seen the Scion go into the Cassante in quite a while, because the Scion doesn't really get away from the Cassante once he goes all out. It's very difficult for the Scion to actually kind of, you know, stay safe if he doesn't have his flash, versus things like the Poppy that we saw in the last game and now the Malphite. You can ult your way, either you or the enemy Cassante, away from you and keep yourself safe. So really like to see that. And I like the little adaptation we did see there from the side of Weibo to try and maybe, or not from Weibo, from RA to try and take away the Poppy into that matchup, as they picked it up for Leon in that jungle. But there is always an answer here for the Shy, as he does pick up that Malphite here. But now, jumping into this game, I feel like both teams have their win conditions. I still need to see more from Rare Atom. I need to see them be a lot more aggressive now that they have this Poppy in the jungle.
Poppy in the jungle. Once you get to level 3, the game is, you're at full build at that point. You have reached level 3. You go absolutely psycho and you try and gank everywhere across the map. Having the Nautilus for the very easy setup, having the Annie for point and click as well can very much help that. So Weibo needs to be very respectful of what Rare Atom can actually do in this early game compared to game 1.
We are jumping onto the Rift for game number 2, also 3. See if Weibo can finish it off cleanly, get themselves up to a 4-2 scoreline, bringing themselves a little bit closer to the top of the table, or if RA will be dragging them all the way down into a game 3 of this series. We'll have to wait and see, as we're going to go straight into this one here as the Gyos ring through.
We still hope so. I actually can't hear them right now. So there we go. There's the crowd. There they are. The
I
assume,
assume,
like, oh, where'd they go?
with
There we go.
the picture-in-picture, they're on. There's some kind of shouting going on. You know?
It's a good way to think about it. The Shy walking up into river, doing a bit of battle warding very early on. Making sure he sees where Xiao Shu is. And looking at this early game, of course, again, it does feel like everything is on to what's going to happen with this Poppy. Poppy falls off from the jungle role later into the game. Yes, you have some use in later game team fights where you can kind of shove the front line away with that ultimate. However, it is really about that level 3 power spike and then using that as best you can across the map. Weibo, I have some information as to where enemy jungle is going to start, because we saw that ward put down into the bottom river. I believe that was Lian's. Can't remember if it was exactly, but either way, you should know he's starting on bot side. So information from Weibo on jungle starts.
Information is key, and even a lack of information, if you have information of another side, is still information. So you can discern whatever you need from there. And I like the side that see that Weibo are being very, very cautious here. They know how aggressive this Poppy can become. Yeah, so they're just saying, look, you know what? We're going to pop down a couple of defensive wards all around pretty much every side of our jungle that we feel like the Poppy could go towards after a first clear. So like to see that from Weibo, respecting Leyen on this pick. And honestly, you kind of have to, as you mentioned, the Poppy at level 3 just so powerful, and the way they're able to kind of move this. But now, level 2 hit in this bot side. We are going to see the traps enabled and engaged, but not going to see much else apart from a lot of health from Chris being taken away. But he's a Rakan, so should be able to heal that back pretty safely.
It's a solid level 2 from Feather and Assume. Does mean that you get the HP advantage, you get the push advantage, and you burn some pots off of Chris Rakan. And currently Strive has the push in mid lane. So compared to last game, Rare Atom have push in bot, they have push in mid, and they have the ability for Leon to go into the enemy jungle. Early ward though, which we highlighted from Xiaohu earlier, means that Weiwei will have information of where that Poppy could be.
Weiwei now going to recognize that Leon is up on this top side. So Leon, unfortunately for him, not going to be able to pick up that first of the Krugs, but still trying to see if he can fight for this one here. Difficult when Weiwei's already got himself his level 3, so he's able to take all that one there. And I mean, Leon took the bait. I don't know if Weiwei really wanted it, but at the end of the day, he's still coming out with the camp lead for the moment. And with the pressure in mid and top, I don't think Weiwei's going to be able to contest for this red.
He did a pretty good job of securing those Krugs and had a good trade afterwards, but those pushing lanes, as you were mentioning, they are the difference maker in this early game. So Rare Atom, they have themselves a platform to make plays off of, which was very different from game 1. Weiwei going to walk down to this bot side scuttle. Recall's coming out from bot lane soon enough, though. That potentially allows these bot lanes to have themselves a play coming off of the reset. Crisp, Light, they have the ability to push this one in. Very interested to see what happens with the first support resets to the game, whether they get themselves out onto the map.
Shy is taking a aggressive trade into Xiaoshu, and the reason why is because Xiaoshu recognizes that he has his jungler. Leyen, though, going straight in on top of the Malphite. Does burn the flash from the Shy, but nothing else to be done. And in fairness, fair bit of health bar resources used there by RA to try and make that work.
So Shy loses that flash all the same. So Rare Atom, once again, a bit of a mini victory across the map. They haven't managed to find themselves kills yet. They found themselves one flash. They found themselves a camp in the enemy jungle, one of those red buffs. It's not really the biggest victory ever. So Weibo, now they get themselves a chance to reset. And as you can see, Crisp coming back onto the map. Really interested in seeing where he goes from this base. Currently walking down that mid lane. This is a tip for all you support players out there. After you recall and you come out onto the map for the first time, actually Holden's that thought maybe a knockup comes through. It hits, decent amount of damage, not going to be a kill though. What you can do is you can walk just into mid lane, and it gives you enough time to respond to if you want to just go bot lane, or respond to a play in bot river or in mid lane. It doesn't lose you that much time. You don't need to be there for every minion in bot side. So Chris just has a look in mid, doesn't find anything, goes happily back towards bot lane. Same with Feather here.
Yeah, not only that, but it also means that your AD carries do end up getting a little bit of free time in that bot side, so it gets them closer to a level 6, which for something like a Xayah in particular, definitely very valuable to have access to that Feather Storm. So this has been your PSA from Nymera into your support matchups to be able to kind of set you up for better solo queue adventures.
Support service announcement.
Yeah. I feel like everyone's going to benefit from it, but we now see Leanne moving aggressively towards these Raptors, and now knows that Weiwei, despite all the aggressive moves here coming in, has actually been able to get himself a little bit of a level. He's just been kind of hard farming, waiting to get up to that level 6, and obviously that Umbral Glaive, as now we see the top side. Xiaoshu and the Shy trade out their ultimates. But maybe they want to try and turn this one right back around. Yep, they're going to jump in and see Xiaoshu does have Flash. Flash is just in time to make sure he's out of range of getting that hit by that auto attack. So now Weiwei does burn that one for himself. Strive did move in here. It's going to be difficult for him to really burn down the Shy. I say that is huge damage coming in. I misspoke. Strive definitely had enough there, and that's a really nice move there from the RA mid laner.
Strive to survive, baby. First strike adds on the extra damage, and this is the kind of plays which we needed to see from Rare Atom. Bot side working well for them too.
Oh, Weibo almost got themselves feathered down, and I feel like if Leanne wasn't off to the sides there, it definitely could have led to a pretty bad situation. They'll now know the Poppy is around. They have to try and be a bit more respectful for this. It's a bad time, though, for them because this wave is huge. They really want to try and soak this up, but they will. I just don't feel like the side of RA really wants to go for something else. As Xiaoshu recognizing, hey, I had a free mid, so I want to try and go for this one. Flash in right on top of the Gragas. Will he be able to get out? That is the question. There's an explosive cast. He does have a belly bop available to him. Does try to turn this one back around with a flash over the wall, and Xiaohu will keep himself alive.
I feel like we saw that in game 1, having to flash away, use the cask, and somehow getting his way out of that one. Does it again, does Xiaohu, but the whole tapestry of the game has changed. The Shy doesn't have ult or flash this time either. If a knockback happens from Xiaoshu, this is probably a dead Malphite again. He has to push in the wave though. Dies for his wave state, but it's an awkward moment for the Shy.
Yeah, a little awkward, unfortunately, as he's just kind of smacking down Xiaoshu as best he can. The minions are trying to help out their master, but it's not going to be done, and this is kind of a bit of the Shy that we have seen for the last few seasons, or few splits, to be perfectly honest. And once he starts kind of falling behind, it does start to feel like a bit of a torrent of force that you can kind of just keep getting water from for RA. So we'll see if they can gain more out of it, because right now they are getting a lot from it. Yes.
It's where, like, you see all the wildlife going to. He's like, yes, the Shy, he feeds us here. He keeps us healthy and nourished. And once again, the Shy does go down. But this is a product of Rare Atom unlocking bot lane and stopping Chris from having free roam across the map. Again, one of the most important things the support can do is get those important early rotations off your first few bases of the game, which we highlighted earlier, but also Leanne having a much easier jungle matchup with priority from his lanes to support him in his own endeavors. Rare Atom, they've adapted well from game 1 to game 2.
I've adapted well, and Weiwei does use his ult and jumps away, but does not go invisible quick enough. So Flash from Strife puts him in range of the Q, and this is the kind of setup I'm saying. We're going to see a flash forward here on top of Light as Feather tries to just keep himself there. And on Weibo, looking for these plays, but it's just not the moves right now. One good hook from Feather might be enough to get him under the tower, but that's I'm not going to follow on just there. But great moves in this early game here from RA as they just continually put pressure here around the map.
I'm telling you, man, I want that Netflix documentary. Get it out there. Strive and Lian comping up once again in this mid lane. Xiaohu, the only lane to have not suffered a death so far, and Weibo, you can add that to the list as well as not an laner, but an honorary laner, I suppose. Jungle, not quite in the linear sense of the word, but Weibo, they are going to have to now prop themselves their way out of this mess because you have a very fed Annie coming out onto the map for the next point in the game, and the problem now with someone like the Shy is that if you end up going into something like the Leandries coming out of Strive, and there are a couple of HP builders on the side of on Weibo, not that many, so it's not the hugest value, but either way, Annie can be a huge problem for their team later into the game, and if you are starting to fall behind because your Zyra can't push up like we see in this replay here, just not free to push up, you're going to have some huge issues with Weibo in the way that they approach team fights and skirmishes later into the game.
It is a 2,500 gold lead. Great here for RA. And again, like you mentioned, kind of keeping themselves and keeping everyone on the side of Weibo just pinned down. Not really much you can do from there. I will say there's a plenty of summoners have been burnt. The opportunity cost, if you will, for getting those kills from mid into bot lane. But we'll see if it ends up working out in their favor, as right now RA are sitting pretty. And it does come down to why I'm so, I suppose, lukewarm, shall we say, on Weibo as a team, because again, game one, incredible. Could not have put a foot wrong. Had a bit of fun at the end, but it doesn't matter. They'd earned themselves that because they were so far ahead. Game two, it looks like a completely different team.
Weibo, a team with inconsistencies still to work out. The potential is absolutely there. We've talked about that one enough, and I'm sure many of you recognizing the names on the roster can understand exactly why. But in the second game, Raratsum showing their own pedigree. They're not necessarily the names which first come to mind when you think about the ultra elite talent of the LPL, but the Raratsum are a team which have managed to take some scalps over time. Spring, they didn't manage to make playoffs, but they were close enough to it. Their start to the spring was a strong performance. Couldn't match it towards that end. In summer, though, starting off at 2 and 3, and if they pick up a win here, have to really start putting them into a conversation as potential playoffs team. 3 and 3 is not a bad benchmark for them from the first 6 series.
Absolutely not. And I think RA, the back of Xiaohu and Strive, to be perfectly honest, as well, feels like they are just kind of working towards this a bit better. But Xiaohu and Wei now realize, oh, hang on, we're not the ones setting a trap. We are the ones getting trapped, and they are just going to put Xiaohu in the bounce house. Lian picks up that kill. I mean, that's just really good game sense here from RA, recognizing, look, if they're here, we win.
And this Nautilus pick is paying off huge dividends for Raratsum. They went past the Yumi, they didn't pick it, they didn't ban it, and they saw the Xayah come in early and said, okay, that's Zyra Khan. We don't want to play something that can't get early plays out on the map. Feather, youngest support in the LPL, picks up the Nautilus, combos up with his jungler well in game one, just like Chris did with Weibo with the same picks in game one.
This is why you can't really have off games or off series against anyone in the LPL. It just feels like it's such a difficult one, but now with Rifter being dropped down, big play potentially coming in here. Xiaohu now on the backside here. We're going to see the steadfast presence trying to stop in the engage, but they're jumping straight in on top of Assum, who has nowhere left to go. One last feather puts him right into the grave, and finally Weibo spring to life and get themselves a really good kill. And the important thing is they get those kills right before the dragon.
That is huge from Weibo. Gold in pocket, gold in Light's pocket. He's popped that cull. He gets himself the Kraken Sled before this fight and gets himself an extra lump sum of gold just as that comes through. It's before 14 minutes, of course. The teleport changes from 14 minutes to 10 minutes in terms of when you can teleport to anything on the map, coming out absolutely huge. And Xiaohu finally makes his entrance onto the map.
Finally gets himself, got a little bit sick and tired of where this game was going, and finally makes a play here for himself. And again, it's just really good read here, a really deep ward. There's just no way that RA could have even anticipated it.
And I would love to know who put that ward down. I would imagine it was someone like Crisp. He did that a lot in game one. The vision control from Weibo set up plays for them to win the game in game one, and in game two starts off one of their biggest plays so far. They need to follow that up. Lian going to be going towards this dragon. Weibo weren't able to stick around. And now, Weibo, they don't have themselves all of the tools to fight this. They're going to let it go. I don't think that is the worst decision ever, particularly because they're still behind in gold. If they can use this to soak up a couple more waves, get a better reset, and not chance a fight from behind in the game, you can understand why they would rather live to fight another day.
Yeah, look, as much as I would love to, for them to be able to kind of get that play and then turn it into objective, getting the gold, as you mentioned earlier, definitely still very valuable. And they had already taken the first dragon, so they're not really under threat of a soul just yet. So they bought themselves a bit of extra time as we come back into now. It's about 2,000 gold leads, so very much a, not a huge amount to kind of go for it. And Light is still kind of keeping tit for tat. So those 2 kills, massive in his kind of, fight to come back into this bot side. And I always feel like Azaya is just such an interesting carry in the grand scheme of the game, just because you have such power with your own setup in terms of the feathers being drawn back and rooting people down to the ground.
And also because Rare Atom, they don't have... I mean, you have the Jinx, which is long range, but everyone else is getting up close and personal. If Light can play out the fights well and has a good ultimate, those feathers are going to wreak absolute havoc, especially against the lower range members of the top side of Rare Atom. Feather messes a Hooker. If he goes in a little too deep, he can be prey to that as well. So Light, watch his positioning. It's all on him in regards to Weibo finding themselves a good
flash on Asom.
They're going through the choke point. This is going to be really difficult.
Here we go. Hook comes out. Going to jump straight in on top of Crisp, and Feather picks up that kill. The feathers go flying, and they drag them all the way back. So that's going to be the Rift Herald picked up and secured. The Shy is still hovering around here. They don't know exactly where he is. And Asom still doesn't have flash. Now they know where he is. Now, you will not be caught out on this particular flank. So now with the Tibbers and the Rift Herald, plenty of pets to be able to tank up these towers. And they can keep going. RA are not afraid of this engage right now because they know where it's coming from.
They get another charge. Can they stay for the turret? That'll be a little bit ballsy. They're going to walk up either way. As he said, they had that Tibbers. The feathers going to root up Xiaoshu, but that's about it. So Weibo, they go through the choke point. Can't quite get the feathers in the right position. Crisp goes down for free. Rare Atom continuing to keep the pace of the game in their favor. They couldn't draw Weibo into a fight around that dragon last time, but they forced a fight with that Herald. Now they're going to have a lot more control. Oh, Feathers is caught now.
Yeah. Not going to be able to go for it. Feather going to try and see if he can turn this one right back around, though. TP going to be coming in from the Shy, who still has that unstoppable force. They get themselves a nice little bit of CC on the Feather, but does he go down? That is the question. Yes, he does. Crisp with a little bit of supportal combat gets himself another kill, but what else can you get from that? The Shy kind of came in and didn't really have anything to do because the play was already done.
So I think the only thing Weibo are going to get from this is 1, the kill gold, and then 2, the wards which they're dropping down here. That is a big win for them because they have a lot of ability to get picked off by the same tools that they used in the last game. That Nautilus being very, very important around this. The vision control really working out now, and you can see this. Lian going to fall prey to it himself.
Yeah, they're not going to commit the Shy's ultimate just yet. He's really holding on to that one right there. He wants to just try and find it as a last-minute thing to kind of really get benefit out of it, but not really going to lead to much else in the map. And Weibo just kind of get themselves a kill, get a little bit of gold, but still 3,000 gold down, and RA still looking the better of the 2 teams in this game too. Yeah,
they get themselves a really good fight around this choke point. The Rakan is not very tanky. Gets completely CC'd, 100-0. The Shy wasn't there in position to disrupt that CC combo in any way, sense, or form. And now Weibo, they don't have themselves an outer turret to play around either. So vision control around is the jungle entrance is going to be harder to work out. The recall does come off for luckily for Xiaohu, but he won't be able to protect this top lane outer turret. Rare Atom, so they're taking structures across the map. They're getting themselves some vision towards that top side jungle. Weibo, they need to be very careful about the next few minutes. They don't have control over both sides of the jungle.
And then I love that you kind of talk about the control that RA have, and it comes down to this mid lane turret being down. You saw it on the minimap there. Because that mid lane tier 1 is down for the side of Weibo, they didn't have control to be able to kind of push up and defend their top side. It meant that RA could kind of lean up towards it. I'm going to stop myself very quickly as there's a little bit of a ultimate coming in. Great cast to try and catch him out. They're going to try and jump straight back in on top of Chris, though. And like you said, he's just not very tanky. Asom is just so low, but he survives. I don't even know how. Xiaohu will refuse, though, to let this one go to the wayside. It's a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Weibo. But RA, they're getting scrappy, and they're loving it.
They are. They do get a bit punished at this point, losing the fight 2-for-1. Lian's getting a bit isolated from the rest of his team. Very lucky to get out of that one with more members intact. Assume got very, very low. A little bit later into that one. Weibo, they walk away with a bit more gold, and they walk away by actually contesting this vision control and getting away with this. Crisp dies for this attempt, but look what he ends up doing. He ends up interrupting the blast cone knockup, so Feather is stuck on the other side of the wall, which means that Rare Atom have to kind of bail out their support who's caught out of position. Crisp goes down, but buys enough space to just about make it work. The only really thing which Weibo are ruining is the fact that the support is just not tanky enough to make it through that alive.
Yeah, it really does feel like Crisp kind of has to throw himself in there and be that engaged to let the rest of his team do that damage, because Lord knows the Shy hasn't been doing it so far this game. Hey, look, I'm not a hater, but at the same time, there's a lot of hype around the Shy, and it's just like it sounds like I'm being a hater. You're absolutely right, but it does feel like whenever I'm casting the Shy, he just does nothing. Like, he's not a detriment to his team. He's just not doing anything, and I'm just like, you know what? Maybe sometimes someone can be overhyped. You know, maybe the propaganda from Cadril streams is a little bit too much. You know, you gotta try and keep these things in mind.
Oh, man. Well, for every game 1 show you have in this series, you have a game 2 where he's just there going, hey guys, I've died in top lane again, and the rest of the team goes, it's okay, the Shy, we're gonna go get some vision control elsewhere, see you next respawn. Heading back out onto the map now though, we're still at a moderate gold lead for Rare Atom, but it's not the best thing ever. It's shrank a little bit from earlier into the game, and despite the fact which they've picked up another dragon to make it 2-1 in the total score. Weibo, I think they're pretty happy with how the last 5 to 10 minutes have gone, considering how poorly the early game had gone with Lian and Feather making themselves known on the map. You are getting to the point now where the Nautilus and the Poppy are, I'm not going to say falling off, but they're definitely a lot more risky to play because they're not as tanky as solo laners, even when they go for those engages, and they can very much get picked off by the side of Weibo.
Absolutely. And again, look, as much as we're kind of saying great things for RA, they are still only 2,000 gold up. They're not really that close to a soul just yet. And you can see that they're trying to be aggressive here, but like you mentioned earlier, with that Umbral Glaive from Weiwei, it makes it a lot easier for Weibo to control these kind of, you know, pockets of vision. The Shy probably going to have to ult himself away if he's not too careful. He's trying to hold it as best he can, but he's getting CC'd up, and yep, he's going to have to use that one just to try and get away. But ooh, Feather. Yeah, flash away there. A bit unfortunate. Just misses the hook and lands it onto a little bit of terrain. But RA get the mid-tier 2. They do lose the tier 1 and top side, but as we all know, tier 2s are worth more than tier 1s.
They are. Feather just about getting away with his life. And again, the riskiness of Poppy and Nautilus really on display there. You end up flubbing your engage. You get killed very, very quickly. The Shy holds onto his ult for a long time. Maybe a little bit longer than it was strictly necessary, but doesn't have to blow the flash all the same. Has rank 2 of his ultimate as well, so that will be off of cooldown fairly soon. We're past 20 minutes. Baron is alive. They are going to see Weibo starting up this Baron, though, with that water in the river.
This is quick. This is quick.
Wait, Jinx is on red buff. Jinx is not here.
TP going. The Jinx not here. They're going to see Lian getting the knock. He gets himself into the pit. There's going to be the Jinx up. Going to come down. 60 HP. Lian secures it with an auto attack. Now Xiaoxu trying to up onto light and secure him off the fight. Weibo went flip, and they're going straight back to McDonald's because they got nothing from this.
Oh, that was so close from Chris, managing to interrupt the Poppy ult, and the Jinx ult brings down the Baron into that smiteable range. Weiwei not able to secure that one, and Rare Atom, they have been handed this mid to late game lead on a silver platter. Going back into the replay for how this happens. If that ultimate is cancelled, you have another way to lock up Leon before he gets into the pit. Xiaoxu also entering into the pit just before the Baron goes down, becomes a real threat. Light has to blow his ult early. So many things blown from Weibo, trying to dissuade Rare Atom from getting into the pit. They don't manage to do that, and they have nothing left for the fight afterwards.
Just such an unfortunate way to look at it, and like you said, it comes down straight up to a smite fight, and Lian just holds his nerve, says, look, I'm not going to smite it too early, and it just felt like it felt like it was on 60 HP for an eternity, where but so many Weibo players just standing around it, waiting for it to finish off. And now with Baron, you've got yourself a 4,000 gold lead. You've got ways of pushing in despite having kind of a slightly kind of shorter range team outside of this Jinx. So RA, they're delighted with the way this game is going, and the fact that they're getting this Jinx up to 3 items as well. It's just all coming together.
That it is. So Weibo, that felt like it was the huge power play they had an option to. They weren't in a bad position before that Baron, but they feel like they very much are now. Dragon spawning in a minute. As you said, Assume getting himself a lot of items. He's separated from the team right now, though. He's on River. Crisp is going to be seen on this pink ward. Assume will be able to get to the rest of his team. Weibo are looking for an opportunistic pickoff.
Xiaohu did TP on the backside. This one here, they're looking for Asum, and they will be able to find the Jinx. There's a great explosive cast. They needed to commit absolutely everything. Asum is dead. The Nautilus as well. Xiaoshu trying to turn this one back with Strife. The feathers go flying as Light now in a 1v1, but he does not want that fight. Cassante still with 100% presence, still showing why this champ is broken in the meta right now. Now Weibo moving forward, trying to see if they can make this one work. Low health bars here on RA. They could get a little bit of damage here. There's still a flash available for Xiaohu if they want to try and go for a flash belly bop. Not quite able to look for it just yet. Trying to see if he can bait out something as best he possibly can. Leanne so low. He's getting soloed out by Crisp. But it looks like RA should be able to get themselves respawned out. I tell you, that Strife has to go golden to keep himself alive, but they've traded it back. That's the Poppy dead for the Rakan. You take that trade any day of the week. Flash in with the belly bop. Strife finally getting on top of this Annie, who doesn't have anywhere else to be. Ooh, that rocket is so quick and so damaging. Weiwei needs to stay alive as the Shy and Xiaoshu have themselves a little bit of a 1v1. The Cassante is still alive, and because this fight took so long, people are respawning.
They're respawning, Dragon's alive, but the Baron buff is basically timed out. So Weibo, they get away with the earlier Baron kerfuffle, and they can take off so many of those buffs. Weibo are probably not going to be able to defend this Dragon. That's going to be the big takeaway to the negative, but outside of that, they managed to spot Assume, pathing very riskily towards the rest of his team. Weibo see the option, say, okay, they are trapped on this side of the map. We have pinned them against our tower, and that gives you the ability to really stop Assume being able to use the huge amount of items which he's got. Weiwei, Xiaohu completely taking out the Jinx. The only thing which makes this fight moderately even after that point is the fact that Light gets completely blasted by Xiaoshu in return.
Leanne's dead.
Yes.
So I'll give you that quick update. Leanne is dead, and unfortunately now for RA, they don't have a jungler to try and contest for this dragon, so we are going to go to 2 dragons apiece, and the game shall continue on. The Super Mega Det Rocket not going to hit absolutely anything, and Weibo are crawling this game back. They were looking at a defeat. It looked like RA maybe had themselves a little bit of a lifeline, but Weibo just able to throw everything at Asum makes it so difficult for him to do anything.
And the Baron power play from Rare Atom is about, what, 3.5 times less than what Weibo managed to achieve in Game 1. Leanne, you could probably give him some kind of room for error and say, okay, you know, Weibo, they're probably not on the map yet. They've just had to reset after that big fight, but just doesn't get the timing right. No teammates nearby, and Rare Atom, imprecise was the word that we used in Game 1. Feels like the imprecision hits them again in this game.
I love how the observers just like call out our players like so
Yeah.
hard. It's just like,
Well,
you're
it's
sitting on a
important.
ward. Like I know, but they do it in such like such minor things as well. Like the amount of times we see them zooming in on a cannon minion and being like, "Did you get it? Did you kill the cannon minion?" And then, like right there,
Like that.
like right there. Like we didn't need to look at Xiaohu on the top side, but -1.
Back out onto the map. The gold is still at only about 2,000 gold. All things said and done. So Weibo, considering how poorly that early game went, have done a decent job of being able to decelerate the game, get themselves items where they need to. And now Light has 3 items at a point where Assume has the same. There is no AD carry difference in regards to that. Yes, there's more gold onto the top side of the map for Rare Atom, particularly for the side of Xiaoshu on this Cassante, and maybe he can make a mess of Light in one of these fights again. But Weibo, they are in a position to fight. This is a late game 2,000 gold lead. It's not nearly as impactful as it was earlier in the game.
Weiwei seeing if he can maybe find some vision to help them know where this Baron is going to be taken out. There's still 20 seconds before it spawns, and 3 items here to Shy. Going to find Xiaoshu here. Don't know if he wants that fight. He's probably going to have to ult away. He is kind of like sitting here on top of a lot of different things. They go all out right on top of him. He's going to try and get an ult. Will keep himself alive. There's a Super Mega Det Rocket. Will not land with the splash damage. Now everyone just kind of backs themselves away. This is the thing. If the Shy can't get the fight out, if he can't find a flank, he is going to basically be taken out of this fight single time by the Cassante.
I mean, I think he just stole a red buff. That's why he's regenerating so much. The show just went on a world tour. He goes, oh, I'm going to go into the enemy's completely lit up bot side jungle, and then I'm going to ult my way out of this huge fight. The end goes over the wall.
Onto Crisp, though, and now finds himself in a little bit of no man's land, if I'm being totally honest, but no one was willing to kind of turn and burn onto this very tanky Poppy, who has got herself the Randuin's Omen as well as the Iceborne Gauntlets, so doing a fair bit of kind of tanking here against the majority AD damage of Weibo, but now RA recognized that the Baron has spawned. This could be another little bit of a flip. No Q3 for xiaoxu. There's going to be a steadfast presence to try and stop the Shy from getting himself out, who does not have the ultimate available to him. He's not going to be able to get away from this, but the feathers are all down. Not quite able to get the root down on top of anybody, and now xiaoxu is dead. The Shy not quite able to move away from this fight and just flash, but it's all a little bit too late. Now the rest of Weibo recognize, yes, these health bars are low, but xiaoxu is still huge.
This and the big win that fight was Strive dropping the Tibbers and just keeping the Leandry's burn on light. The Xayah could not fight against the Tibbers, completely burning them down, and couldn't DPS the rest of these members. He's trying to lifesteal off of this midway, but he's not here for the fight now. Now Weiwei has to go for a steal.
Weiwei's looking for it. They're going to try and jump in. xiaoxu flashes over to try and stop him. They're going to try and burn him out with the all-out, and they will be able to secure themselves a Baron now. Weiwei needs to leave, but he is not allowed to leave. You are in my arena, and I will take you out 5-0-5 from the top lane prospect of RA.
Really goes to show how impactful Weibo's early game kills towards that top lane were in game 1. They weren't able to do the same in this game, and xiaoxu is starting to really take over on the 100% pick ban presence Cassante from that top side. And it was both him and his solo lane compatriot in Strive which really turned this fight. Look what Light has to deal with in this fight. He's at about 2/3 HP before that Annie kind of gets on top of him, and just by Tibbers walking at him, he has to walk backwards, he has to DPS down the Tibbers, and can't take down anyone else in Rare Atom. Strive having a real impact on this game as well.
Crisp, kind of a no man's land. Needs to leave. He was going to try and drop down a couple of wards and should be fine as the rest of Weibo get themselves out onto the map. But yeah, this is a tough game, and it's gonna have to come down to a moment of brilliance. It's gonna have to come down to maybe one of those many flank wards that could be spawning up now. As 20 seconds till that dragon spawns, but I don't even know if RA really care about the Dragon Soul right now. Yes, it would be nice, but it's not exactly something you're going to get in the next minute or so. So just push in, look for something on this top side, or bot side, I should say, and maybe go for a fight. There's going to be the ultimate, but only going to be a little bit of a reset of a cooldown from Leyen. And RA, they're being tempered, they're being smart, they're not letting this, lead at the moment build them into a false sense of security, because they've seen it multiple times that they can lose if they don't do this carefully.
They hem in Weibo to their side of the map, and as you were saying, these teleport wards are ready and available from Weibo. They have a couple in these bushes. This will be off of vision. Rare Atom do not see this flank ward. xiaoxu has flash.
So, see if the Shy can go in. They're going to find him out now straight away and going to try and burst him out. He will have the ultimate available. He's not gone down just yet. Leyen taking a bit of damage as well. The Nautilus ultimate goes in, which means the feathers can't fly. Leyen is still alive, but the Shy cannot be so lucky. They're trying to turn on the feather and see if they can take him out. Chris gets a fantastic ultimate here to try and keep everybody off of Light. But there is xiaoxu. There is the Cassante. And there is the damage. Weiwei does kill off the Jinx right at the end of the play, but it's still a 3-for-2 in favor of RA.
Weiwei saves the game from ending probably, but doesn't stop the fight going in favor of Rare Atom. Once again, Light is left alone with xiaoxu in the backline, and the Cassante absolutely nukes him. xiaoxu picks up a kill there on the other side, which makes this overall a 3-for-3. Weibo still giving as good as they get in the fight.
I mean, not quite sure how that one went down. xiaoxu,
yeah, me neither, buddy.
biding his time. Yeah, biding his time on the backside of this play and getting himself a nice little kill. And this is what I was talking about. This game isn't over just yet. We're starting to hit 4 or 5 items now on people. Weiwei even going for a little bit of a cheeky invade right now because he knows that Leyen is dead. So very, very interesting to see. I would think Weiwei would love to get himself up to level 16 as soon as possible. xiaoxu is around here, and Weiwei now going to make his presence known as he's just kind of clearing out all these waves, or all these wards, I should say, and it's still only a 5,000 gold lead. We are into the super uber late game where one good engage from Weibo could be the end of this game and series for RA, so RA still have a job to do.
We're not too far off the point where we're going to get full items brought in for someone like Assume, and they won't get any stronger after that point, so that gold lead is going to be only there in number, not really in active stats on the team of Rare Atom. That being said, it's a little way off that right now. The Shy is on one of these side lanes. A big number of Rare Atom members going towards the top side.
They are just bullying this man right now. They are just bullying him, because guess what? If you don't have your ultimate, you don't have a way out. In fact, he's going to go so close to going down. Nicely done there by Chris to block the ultimate from the Jinx. But that was 4 members of our Rare Atom. Like, this is your tank, and he can't even survive for like 3 or 4 seconds.
He really maybe should have ulted a little earlier. Gets out alive very luckily, blows 4 ultimates for his patience, I suppose. Now he doesn't have that ultimate for the team fight though, and those ultimates, it's late game. They're coming up very, very soon. Halfway up a cooldown already. Weibo now looking to just defend their own side of the map. The Shy clears out another wave in this mid lane, but Rare Atom, they are still in control. They are still threatening. They can very much take out members which are disrespecting them.
Yeah, well, Lien might be a little bit too far forward here. We'll take a fair chunk of damage here. Xiaoshu is around, which means Weibo would probably like to walk away from this because this champion is busted. He's going to say, look, I don't care about the AD carry. I'm going to flash off of this. Look at the amount of wards. Look at the zombie wards in that brush right there. They all want control of this one little pocket of vision, and it will end up being seceded over to the side of RA.
Will be, and the Shy blows his ultimate in one attempt, blows his flash in the next one, has his ultimate back up again, but the Shy doesn't have Merc Treads. He can get CC chained fairly effectively by the side of Rare Atom. Probably has a little bit of tenacity in his runes, I'd imagine. Maybe has himself one of those from, maybe has Unflinching on the Resolve tree, but it's not enough at this point in the game. So Weibo, they don't lose any members just yet. They are getting themselves more items. You're getting to the point where Light has just bought himself an Elixir of Wrath as well to keep in his inventory. It's a good amount of stats to have. And I think that is a good call, because if it is going to come down to one last big fight, we're at the point where one fight could lead into an absolute nexus destruction. Now is the time to get your power.
Yeah, I mean, look, getting the Elixir of Wrath, having that one there available. I will say, on the other side, Atom has got a stopwatch as well, so he might be able to kind of hold himself to it, if you will, but for the moment, we're going to see them jump in, and Crisp is dead. Yeah, there's just not a lot you can do. They're going to try and maybe turn on to Xiaoshu, but look, it's just not taking that much damage. He can sit here and take this all day. The Shy going to have to ult away. I think I've seen him use his ult offensively once, and now he's dead regardless. Now you're in a 3v5, I should say, in favor of RA, and they honestly could just look to end the game. You're on the wrong side of this fight. Now Xiaoshu gets caught out. He's going to get ulted and immediately bursted down. Light has to try and do something, but he's a little birdie all alone in the world. There's just nothing you can do. The hook is fantastic. Wei trying his best to hold the wave, but he shall be answered here by Xiaoshu, who is going to go absolutely massive and godlike in this game, and RA will send us to 3.
Tibbers tanking the towers, goes on cooldown. Chris, what can you do? Without the wave here, there is a chance that they die to this turret. Feather goes down, stopwatch buys some time.
Close.
This is why Wei was trying to kill the wave. How much time have you got left? 10 seconds on the Shy.
Dead, unfortunately. RA not letting this one go to the wayside, and that's going to be a 1-1 score line. RA finding themselves a much better situation. They're showing in a little bit of extra sass there on the ending as well to make sure Weibo know, look, we got your number, and it's called Camp the Shy.
Camp the Shy, get an earlier pressure bot side, and the Nautilus is going to have to be a huge consideration for Game 3. Chris, player of the game in Game 1. Coming into this one, you'd imagine it's going to be the Kasante walking away with player of the game of Game 2. But a lot of that was set up for success because the fact that Rare Atom had a lot more access to the map, because bot lane went well early. They